at first I didn't know what it was. I just had this idea of Jesus coming out of the desert after fasting and meditating and praying, and feeling unsatisfied that perhaps he had not connected with what he needed to connect more fully. So that, took me to him spending 3 nights with a family that lives in the desert, mother, father, son, and him getting a little bit caught up in their drama. And at first I wasn't quite sure what the themes were. I just had the idea for this, basic storyline. But after a little work, the themes of fathers and sons and that relationship is what started to gain strength.
When you're heading into it, to thinking about playing Jesus or playing the devil is sort of slightly overwhelming feeling. But when it comes to it, when you start concentrating on what it is you're trying to do, and when you start thinking in terms of the man himself and what he's looking for, what he's doing there, and we were telling the story of Jesus who's been in the desert for some time and is on his way out of the desert, dissatisfied with his inability to communicate with his father. And when I started thinking about that, and thinking, okay, as a man who's not able to communicate with his father, it suddenly becomes a much more manageable task. It's like playing. If you enter into something thinking, okay, this is my version of Jesus, and there have been many others, it doesn't help you very much. If you're going on stage to play Iago or Hamlet or whoever it might be, knowing that so many great actors have played him before, and you're thinking, this is mine, it's less helpful than if you're thinking, okay, who's Hamlet? What does he want? What's he after? What's he about? What makes him tick? Then you start getting in the bones of the man himself, and your job becomes easier. So, but that's the process I think you go through with everything.
So when we were out in the desert, and our costumes and we had these long hair extensions, so we felt very, very biblical, very period. And I think it was really, 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 really important, especially for me, to feel that, and it's it's comforting in a way, and I couldn't imagine. And like you said earlier, like some movies require green screen and some don't. So and it all depends on the film and what it is, what the setting is, and where the scene takes place. So
the location became a character in our story, or is a character in our story. The scenes where we're early in the morning or late at night in the desert, it was free, it was cold, and it was cold. So physically, your body language changes because it's cold, and it's not something you're having to manufacture or pretend to do. It's just natural. So it becomes incredibly helpful. And we'd watch the sunset, we'd watch the sunrise, we'd be acting during windstorms, sandstorms, and one day it was raining, and just the sky, the vast sky that we had, and sometimes it became part. And when you're in the desert, I was thinking about this just before we got over here. There's quite a lot of my memories of this film which were just in those period of time when the camera's being set or something's happening, just sitting in the desert quietly, looking at and with wonder at it all, how beautiful it was and how peaceful it was to be in the desert, and that all sort of infuses the work that we were doing, I think, on the movie.
I approached in the story only the human side of Jesus. The divine side is too overwhelming. I wouldn't know how to even approach that, of course. It's not a passage directly from the Gospels. It's an invented chapter. Of course, it takes into account Jesus' circumstance, and I think it does so respectfully. So, I would be very curious. I would invite, a more devout audience, a more religious audience to see it and to see what of their Jesus they can find in it. That's a dialogue that I am extremely eager to have with all believers and with non-believers.
I mean, from 4 a.m. to sundown, he's just bringing it 110% effort all the time. And was very, like, even in my coverage, and there were a few times where we were running out of time and we had to get something done, and we just stuck it out, and you gave me everything you had, and so super grateful and fortunate to have worked with you and everyone really. And it's great to be able to work with someone like Ewan, because I mean, he just really sets the tone, and he's a role model for me. So it's nice to learn from someone like that, and many others that I've worked with.
That's the lovely thing about acting, is it doesn't matter whether it's your first movie or your 100th movie. If we all share the same responsibility, and it's equal. There's nothing to learn, or we were under your direction, and we were living through these scenes, and it was natural, and it felt great. There's no sense that Ty was new to the business, not to me anyway.